Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, and a whole bunch more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about PlayStation Vita emulation on Android with Vita3k, and yes, Vita3k just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Vita3k Android Release 7 is the latest update. This one has a number of fixes, some improvements, including performance improvements, and one very interesting change. It disables game pausing as it caused device freezing and crashing. For performance improvements, we've got YUV texture uploading, and it marks Vita3k as a game, which they say here may help with some OS optimizations. But wait, there's more. They rebased the Android version with the PC version, which includes a number of improvements and game fixes. For example, it allows the GUI to be navigated using a controller. There's fixes here for Persona 4 dancing, and World of Final Fantasy now goes in-game. Vita3k on Android is 100% free, and if you wanted to pick it up, you have to pick it up from Vita3k's website or from their GitHub. It is not available on the Google Play Store. If you see Vita3k on the Google Play Store, it's 100% fake, so don't pick it up from there right now. Moving on, and we're talking about PlayStation 3 emulation with RPCS3, and RPCS3 just got an update that may be exciting if you're a fan of these two games. So with the latest version of RPCS3, they added in support here for Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Unlimited and Dragon Ball Zenkai Battle. And additionally, they added in full support for the Taiko no Tatsujin series. Let me know how to pronounce that in the comments below. And speaking about games, next up we're talking about Overjump Rally, which I am extremely excited about. This game just appeared on Steam, and if you take a look at the description, it's an unofficial remake of Sega Rally using Unreal Engine 5. Unfortunately, there is no release date just yet, but you can add it to your wish list. However, there is an alpha demo floating around out there, and there's a very interesting YouTube video which I will drop a link to in the description below, and feel free to check it out. I am really excited about this game. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about the Analogue Pocket, and it appears that they're finally catching up to pre-orders. This is a statement right on their website. All Pocket pre-orders placed before July 20th will begin shipping in August. So hopefully if you've ordered one of these things, you won't be waiting a long time to receive it. Next up, we're talking about the PlayStation Project Q, and there's been a whole bunch of leaks on the internet lately, and this thing is ugly as all get out. I'm looking at this thing, and honestly here, I can't see the appeal to this, but if you're interested, let me know in the comments below. However, on the plus side here, it looks to be running Android, although we've got no confirmation on CPU of this thing and whether or not the system is locked down. I'm curious to find out more details, and as soon as I know more about it, you'll know more. And speaking about handhelds, next up we're talking about AYANEO and their brand new handheld releasing this August. So they unveiled a bunch of details about this thing. It features an 8.4-inch 2.5K Ultra HD IPS display, an AMD Ryzen 7 7840U. It's got a whopping 19,500 mAh battery, and if I scroll down here, it's got Windows Hello face recognition. Now in terms of overall size, this thing is going to be pretty big. It's bigger than the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally thanks to that pretty large screen. In terms of competition here, I really wouldn't say it's directly competing with the Steam Deck. Some people might though. But in my opinion, the Steam Deck is an entirely different beast. It's based on Linux. This will be running Windows, and in my opinion, it's directly competing against the ROG Ally. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I've got no idea on how much this is going to cost, but I'm assuming it's not going to be cheap. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Moving on, and we're talking about Android, and if you're a fan of ChatGPT, you might be excited to know that it's getting an Android app. In fact, if you go to Google Play and search for ChatGPT, you might find the app available to pre-register to download once it releases, which will be very soon. And speaking about AI, next up this is quick and arguably hilarious, and it's all thanks to folks over at Reddit. They tricked a whole bunch of AI-powered news scraping sites into thinking an announcement was real when it was fake, and it was about World of Warcraft. So here's the post that got everything started, and it's titled, "I'm so excited they finally introduced Glorbo. Honestly, this feature makes me so happy. I just really want some major bot-operated news websites to publish an article about this. I'll drop a link to the Gaming on Linux article in the description below and feel free to check it out. It's a very interesting read. Apparently the portal was one of these websites that fell for it. Moving on, and we're talking about YouTube Premium, and if you use YouTube Premium in the US, things may get a bit more expensive for you. Apparently the price is going up to $13.99 per month, including if you've got a grandfathered account. In Canada right now, it's still sitting at $11.99, so I'm not certain if this is a US thing only or if it's going to be widespread. Next up, we're talking about Telegram. Now, it's worth pointing out I don't use Telegram. If you see Mr. Sujano on Telegram or receive any sort of invitation telling you to go to Telegram, it's 100% fake and more than likely a scam. Anyways, here Telegram is getting a brand new update for stories, but apparently it's only available for premium accounts. If you don't have a premium account, you're not getting stories, and I don't know if this is going to apply to free accounts at all. Next up, we're quickly talking about the Meta Quest Pro, and there's a lot of rumor and speculation on this one right now, and nothing concrete just yet. But it appears that Meta is canceling the Quest Pro. They're still selling it, but for how long is going to be the question. When asked, it doesn't appear that the Meta CTO was super clear on whether or not it's going to continue. So this is something to pay attention to if you are interested in one of these devices or if you own one. And speaking about quickly talking about stuff, next up we're quickly talking about Debian, and Debian 12.1 just released. This is the first update to Bookworm, and this one is a pretty sizable update. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes. If you're using Debian, you may want to check out this latest version. Next up, we're quickly talking about the Raspberry Pi 4, and if you use the Pi 4 and you use Firefox on it, you might be excited to know that Firefox is adding hardware-accelerated video decoding, H.264 to be specific, and this is going to be pretty big. It's going to be in version 1.16, at least that's expected. It hasn't released just yet, but it's going to release soon. And last up here, we're talking about open source in the EU, and the EU seems hellbent on destroying open source development. And that's not really being dramatic. This act here, called the Cyber Resilience Act, seems to really harm open source. I'll drop a link to this article in the description below, and feel free to check it out. There's a lot of useful information there. Now, the Cyber Resilience Act has not been fully passed just yet. There is still some hope. And some big players are speaking out against it. For example, the Apache Software Foundation, the Eclipse Foundation, GitHub, the Linux Foundation, and more. At a really high level here, in the name of cybersecurity, this act seems to be rushed through. There are some nuances that don't really make sense. For example, if someone is employed by a company and decides to code in their free time on something completely not related to the company, well, that open source code is impacted. If a company donates to an open source project, that open source code is impacted, all in the name of cybersecurity. On top of that, and I'll drop a link to this Apache article in the description below, there are some almost impossible things here. For example, they say some of the obligations are virtually impossible to meet. There is an obligation to deliver a product without known exploitable vulnerabilities. And they say this is an almost impossible bar to set, especially when the open source authors neither know nor have control over how their code is integrated downstream. And also the standards, and it says here, the CRA refers to a large number of to-be-written international standards. And at a high level here, this is not uncommon for the bylaws of these standards organizations to not allow open source organizations to be members in a meaningful way. So there are a lot of things that really have to get sorted through here, or at least clarified better. Honestly, I've got no idea why this is being pushed so fast through EU legislation, other than for possible reasons. I mean, I see the big benefiters here being some closed source code companies. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. This is really unfortunate for open source and super unfortunate for the EU. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a lot today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.